All right. So when I put the polls out today, everything that won, I mean, they were all creative financing, but the top one was seller financing and the deal machine calculator, and then right behind it, I believe, was subject to. So since it is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's only 6 of you guys in here. So small class has privileges. What specifically do you guys need? And I will answer all of your questions. So let's start with seller finance. Who still has a question about anything regarding seller finance?
I get this a lot. They always want 20% down.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about from the realtor or the
Yeah.
seller. You know, it's one of those things where that's going to getting that deal is going to depend on your follow-up game. It really is. Because if you're working the system and you're searching for properties that have already been on market 2, 3, 4 months, and they're starting to feel the pain of that property. So one of two things is going to happen. They are going to break, and I don't mean break in a bad way, but I mean break as in, taking 10% instead of 20, like compromise here a little bit, or the listing is going to expire. And once the listing expires, then in my mind, I mean, you guys know what I say when it comes to realtors. We should be working with realtors, not against them. That's why I tell everybody that's affiliated with me, be honest that you're a wholesaler, tell them the deal, tell them what's going on, let them know you're going to cover their commission, explain to them the process of subject to, seller finance, whatever. Let's be on the same page. Now, if the property or the listing expires, you don't have any allegiance to that real estate agent that had it listing. So in my opinion, then you can go and talk directly to the seller, which could be a completely different conversation once you talk directly to the seller. So it's going to depend on your follow-up game. And if the property isn't expired, then in a month, call them again. Hey, I know you said 20%. My max is 10. Property's been listed for another 30 days. You think your sellers are ready to make a deal, or are they still stuck on 10? And then if the property's listed for another month, another email or a phone call or a text message, however you're doing it. And just keep following up until they either want to negotiate or the property's not on market, and then skip traces and call the seller directly. Hey, I don't know if your real estate agent mentioned it to you or not, but I did an offer 3 or 4 times. Here was my offer. They said you were stuck at 20%. I don't know if that was because of the realtor commission or if you needed the money for something else, but if we can work something out, I think I can get this property sold for you. All you got to do is give me 2 weeks. Worst case scenario, you're in the same situation you're in right now. Best case scenario, I get this thing off your hands. But you got to work with me on the down payment. Can you do that? And that's how that conversation goes. Or something like it, however you guys talk. But that's what it's going to boil down to, Jason. It's going to be follow-up with people like that. That means they're open to seller finance. They're open to creative. You just got to chip away because they still think that they're going to get what they're listing the property for, even though it's been on market for 60 plus days.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, for sure. On some of them, I throw in there that, hey, if they're looking for money, we can help, take some of that, that you don't have to take to the table by taking away, like 3% of the realtor cost. And so, we're at, if we can only do 10, then, that's actually, 13, and help out on the, closing costs and things too.
That's a good point. That's a very good way of looking at it. You can soak up about 4 or 5% away from what they're asking to what you can give them by just restructuring the way that they're looking at it. That's a great point.
Yeah. And gets us closer. I don't know. I just tried that today. I hadn't heard back yet. So
that's all right. Keep trying it. Just because it doesn't work on one person, there's 1.5 million properties listed, and you don't want to know how many realtors. So just because 1 or 2 realtors, or even 100, hell, even 1,000 realtors could say, oh no, this is terrible. Well, there's still like 4 million of you guys that don't have any problem with this. So I'll just go talk to one of them. All right, let's move on to, well, actually, before I go on, does anyone have another question about seller financing? Is anyone confused about the down payment, how the entry fee is calculated, who pays closing costs, who pays realtor commissions, what's our max down payment, our max entry fee percentage, our minimum cash on cash return. Does anyone not understand balloons?
Since I'm new, Sean, I'm here taking notes. If you could just like briefly go over each one, I'm writing it down. You can
Which
do
one?
like a small summary of which everything you just said.
Oh yeah. Cash at me $25. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go. Well, now hold on a second. Um, Forgive me if I get this wrong. Is it Danielle or Daniela?
Nah, you had it right the first time.
Danielle. Okay. Did you go through the playlist that I sent you?
I haven't made it to the bottom yet.
Okay. All right. So you want me to go over what? All right. I'll just go over the SOPs and
Specifically,
then
you can go over like balloon and SRT or STR. I'm sorry. Am I saying that right?
STR. Yeah, short-term rental.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I think Amber, was that your deal that we did the AirDNA on earlier?
Yep.
What did they end up saying? What was the final verdict on that one?
Oh, she wants me to send over a contract for review.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know, man.
So then I'm going to hold off on sending your video out until you have it locked up. So
Okay.
let me go through it a different way. So STR stands for short-term rental. And that's just a fancy way of saying it's going to be like an Airbnb. And you run those numbers through AirDNA. And in a few days, once Amber's got this deal under contract, there will be a video showing you exactly how to run an STR. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to comp it out through AirDNA. You're going to comp it against other properties that are very similar and what they're renting for in the same area as your property. And then that'll give you a very, very good idea of what you could rent this property out for as a short-term rental. And typically, if you're in a good market, then the short-term rental will be much higher than the long-term rental. Right, Amber? Like, wasn't it like $1,100, $1,900 higher? It wasn't like $3,000, and then we ran the STR and it was like $4,900.
Yes.
See, it helps having 6 people to remember shit. Anyway, so yeah, that's what an STR is. As far as a balloon, let me explain balloon, and let me go to the calculator because that'll be easier for me to explain it. All right, so let's put in an easy deal. Okay, we got a $100,000 purchase price. We're going to seller finance $90,000. That means the down payment is $10,000, right? So we don't have to worry about the rent or the taxes, insurance, not for the purposes of this. So for those of you that don't understand or get confused, and it's confusing, the words amortization and term mean the same thing. Those words are interchangeable. So all amortization means is how many years are we stretching out the payments on that number, and what is that going to make the payment out to be? So let me say it again. If we pay $250 every single month for 30 years, it will equal $90,000. And just so we're on the same page, because a lot of people send me messages or I see them in the main chat on Discord and they'll say, hey, this thing just generated 24 years and 9 months. Why so long? A standard mortgage, when you go to a bank to buy a house, is amortized over 30 years. It is a 30-year loan. You actually have to ask to get a shorter loan than that because standard is 30 years. Now, a bank is different than a seller. Keep that in mind. So just because a bank is willing to wait 30 years for their money, that's their business. That's what they do. Sellers have a different mindset. They don't want to wait 30 years for their money. So if your offer from Deal Sniper comes up with a large term, very long, and it's always going to be long. It's always going to be 20 plus years. Then all you have to do is add a balloon to the end of the email. Let me show you what that looks like. Because for those of you that may be new or haven't done this part before, you're going to be like, what in the hell did he just say? So let me show you. Get one of these open. All right. So let's grab a property. Let's do one. Why not? Let's do one real quick. Let's do, well, let me do my filter. So I pick my market. Time on Redfin. I like 90 days. That's the only filter I use. Zoom out a little bit so I can see the entire city. Got some properties to work with. But I'm going to do, Which one looks cool? That's a duplex. I don't want to do duplex. That one's too expensive. 290. What kind of condition? Oh, and in good condition. Perfect. So I'm going to take the address. I'm going to put it into Deal Sniper. Okay, here's all the stuff for the numbers. They're selling it for 290. I am going to clean up my numbers. Actually, 319 I'm okay with. This, yeah, monthly payment, just go $1,000. Down payment, just do $22,000. That's fine. I'm getting more lenient. You guys are rubbing off on me. So here, so what we're going to do, and we're just going to assume the email is open. That's what this is for. We put the email into our email to get it ready to send to a realtor. And then the only thing I want you guys to do is add this balloon, colon, 12, no, not 100. Oh, what did I just do? Hold on a second. There we go. 12 to 15 years. Or you can make it and that's only because of the purchase price. Or you can do 7 to 10 years. Or if it's a smaller purchase price, 5 to 7 years. So all you have to do is add, I mean, obviously clean it up, make it look professional, but all you have to do is add that. Because when you add this, no one gives a damn what the term is. No one cares. It could be 100 years. Who cares? I'm getting paid off in 5 to 7. In 5 to 7 years, I'm getting all my money. So yeah, I don't care. So that's all you have to do. Balloon, colon, and then depending on your purchase price, 5 to 7 years, 7 to 10 years, 10 to 12 years, 12 to 15 years, 15 to 20 years. If you feel like you need to go higher than 20 years on a balloon, just don't put one in. And again, all the balloon is doing is saying that we're going to pay $250 a month, every single month for, let's call it in this scenario, 10 years. We're going to pay $250 a month, every single month for 10 years. And on the final payment, whatever we owe you, whatever the balance is left from that 90,000, we're just going to pay you off in one shot. That's what a balloon is. But I get a lot of people who will think the balloon is the amortization. So they're like, oh yeah, 10-year balloon. And they do that. And then it makes the payment $750. And what they don't understand is you didn't put in a 10-year balloon just now. You put in a 10-year amortization, which means in order to pay that $90,000 back, instead of having 30 years to do it, now we have 10 years to do it. And because of that, we need to make the payments bigger. No different than if I were to change this to 50 years, and it was at 250 at 30, now it's at 150 because I have more time to pay it off. So the term doesn't matter when it comes to seller financing if there's a balloon. It matters in the sense of calculating the numbers and making sure that all of this is accurate, but it doesn't matter as far as the offer is concerned. No one's really going to give a damn about this part as soon as they see, oh, okay, so I get paid in 5 to 7 years. Cool. And then they're going to ask, which one? Can I have the 5 years? They're always going to ask for the lowest one. That's why you want to make it strategic. If your minimum balloon is 7 years, then do 7 to 10. They're always going to say, everyone wants their money sooner. They're always going to say, okay, well, the balloon is 7 to 10 years. What dictates that? Well, we'd like to be somewhere in the middle, but if your client prefers 7, we can just do 7. Yes, my client prefers 7. Okay, yeah, we can do the 7. No big deal. I'll send you the paperwork. It's already in there. So I do strongly recommend putting that in. The reason why Deal Sniper doesn't add it automatically is, again, it's because it's based off the purchase price. It's going to be based off the seller. It's going to be based off the realtor. It's going to be based off the location. Some people don't ask for balloons at all. They don't. This is the last 2 months is the most deals I've ever underwritten with a balloon. Most of my team, when they close deals, they don't do balloons because investors don't particularly care for them. Now, not so much. I've heard that that's changed, and we're testing it out now with all the deals that you guys are sending. But if you're worried about it, just put a balloon. That's the only, little mini sentence that you have to put. And then it won't matter what that is. Does that answer your question about the balloons?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I know that was long-winded as hell, but it's Friday, so.
We just real quick, one other question on balloons.
Sure.
If they're requesting like a 5-year balloon right off the bat on, say, a $250,000 house, didn't you say at one point that we could put a clause in there that we could say it says we can take an extra 2 years or something like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the appraisal clause. Hold on one second. Now, you would not put the appraisal clause in the email offer to the realtor. You would put that in, you talk to them about it. You'd say, hey, look, you want a 5-year balloon, 250,000. I would like a 7-year balloon or an 8-year balloon minimum. So why don't we do this? I'll give you the 5-year balloon, but let's put the appraisal clause in there. That way, if the property doesn't get the equity that we need it to get, we can push it back a year. I think that's a fair compromise. So worst case scenario, it takes a few more years than 5 years. Best case scenario, he gets his money, the seller gets his money in 5 years. That's how I explain that. And if I need to explain it again, because I know that was kind of wonky, let me know. All right, so let me put the appraisal clause here. Now, again, I'm putting it here for you guys to see. You do not attach the appraisal clause to the email that you're sending to realtors. But there is the wording of the appraisal clause. If at balloon period, buyer does not have at least 40% equity, terms will be extended out at 1-year extension periods until the buyer gets that equity. Now, that's that universal, or not a universal, what do they call it? Infinite balloon. I think that's a little grimy. So I usually put if this was going to, let's say I was doing a 5-year balloon with a 2-year appraisal clause, then I would put for 2 years. That's my terminology. So it's not infinite. I have a definite cutoff date. Best case scenario, your seller gets their money in 5 years like they want. Worst case scenario, it could take 7. Could take 6. I don't know. It just depends on the market. But worst case scenario will be 7. And a lot of times they'll agree to that, as long as it's not something ridiculous, like a 5-year balloon with a 20-year appraisal clause. That's kind of sketchy to me. It's kind of grimy. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Jonathan, what can I do for you?
So I have a question. When you're calculating a subject to deal that's in foreclosure, do you put the reinstatement amount under down payment?
That's a great question, actually. Give me 1 second. Let me double check with everyone before we move on. Does anyone have any other questions about seller financing or balloons before I go on to subject 2? Okay. So, Jonathan, what you're asking is the amount in arrears. And for anyone who doesn't know, arrears, or the same as deferred payments, but that means how much you owe the bank on your mortgage, how much money you're behind in your monthly payments, whether it's deferred payments or arrears. Either way, that has to be paid at closing. So, in answer to your question, Jonathan, yes, that is counted as their down payment. So here's a good example. Let me go to the calculator so I can show you.
Can I give you the numbers to see?
Oh yeah, sure. If you've got them, that's even better.
Yeah.
What's the mortgage amount?
The mortgage amount is $188,736.
Okay. What's the monthly payment?
1,502.
Okay. What's the interest rate?
2.250.
That's a good interest rate.
Yeah, it's
How much are they in arrears? How much do they owe to get caught up?
35,000.
Ooh, shit.
Is that a deal there?
I don't know. We got to look at the rest of the deal. For off the bat, no. And that's just off the bat. So here's the thing. I have my video. I'm sure most of you guys have seen it. If you haven't seen it, watch it. There's a lot of information in that video. But I have my standard operating procedure, meaning our rules for creative financing deal. And one of the rules is that you can't go more than 10% of the purchase price for the down payment. So that would mean that the max down payment we should be giving them is about $19,000, maybe 20. So we're at 15. Huh?
He doesn't want anything to. He just wants to walk away.
No, I know that, but what I mean is it's all the same thing. Down
Oh,
payment, it's all the same. So the most that we should be offering is about $20,000, and we're at 35. So we got to look at the rest of the deal to see if it can kind of compensate and balance out.
okay.
All right, what'll it rent for?
1,800.
Okay. And are we paying any realtor commissions?
None.
Where's this property at?
In El Paso, Texas.
Okay. You said 2.5%, right? And then you said 1502. Okay, so your entry fee percentage is about 1% higher than our absolute max.
Okay.
And your cash on cash return is not good. It needs to be at least 10%. That doesn't mean the deal is dead. Let me ask you a couple more questions.
Okay.
What condition is the property in? Honestly.
It's in very good condition. It's livable right now. Like it has a pool. Uh, it's really in really good condition. I'll share with you the address, but
No,
I don't
that's
know
okay.
about.
I don't need the address. I trust your judgment. Here's what I would suggest. I don't think my team doesn't. This is a Homestead deal, and my team, with all the deals that are coming in from all the various places, until I hire more disposition people, we can't take any Homestead deals right now. That doesn't mean that you cannot disposition this deal yourself, and I'm gonna tell you how to do it right now. And you'll get a
Okay.
recording of this video too tomorrow. So don't worry about it if you don't get it all. Or if you need me to repeat something, I'll repeat it. I don't care. What you're going to need is someone that has about $50,000 cash that wants to live in this house. That's what a homestead buyer is. So an investor buys a property so they can cash flow it or flip it. A homestead buyer, they buy a property so they can live in it. So what you need to do is find someone, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna tell you how to do it. But you're gonna find someone that wants to live in the property themselves, because it's not going to cash flow for an investor. I mean, you can run the short-term rental numbers and see if it'll work as an Airbnb. What's the bedrooms and bathrooms? How big is this place?
4 bed, 2 bath,
Oh shit, that might work as an Airbnb in El Paso.
and it has 13 1351 square feet.
I know it's gonna sound crazy, but is there anything famous in El Paso? Like any attractions or? I know that sounds stupid, but I don't get out very much. All I do is work.
No, it's not stupid at all. Not really. I mean, there's no, we don't have anything.
Hold on a second.
It's a real. It might as well be North Juarez.
Is it really that far over?
Yeah, we're like I could throw a rock at Mexico from where I live.
I mean, depending on your situation, that could be a plus.
We got Fort Bliss, but nobody comes to visit that. I mean, you get a lot of traffic from people traveling from California to Central Texas and things like that. But
All right, that's
not.
right. I'm taking a little look right now. It looks like you said 4 bedrooms, so that'll sleep 8. So I need to up this. Okay, so it looks like El Paso with a pool is capping out at about $200 a night. So without doing the address, this isn't going to be official, but the $200 a night times we'll do 5, and then we'll do 60%. Yeah, we'll do 60%. That's $43,800, give or take. And then if we take that and divide it by 12, that's $3,650. So if I put, and for anyone who doesn't understand what I just did some basic, real quick, back of the napkin math on what I think a property will rent for as a short-term rental in El Paso. And the reason why I do that, I can run it on AirDNA, but I don't want to put the address out there because this is going to go on YouTube and I don't want anyone to snake this deal. So I just trust me on this. And then in a couple of days, a video on how to do it is going to come out anyway.
Okay.
What the hell did I say? 3,900, 3,960? Yeah. No, 3,650. So now if I look at the numbers, did we max these out? I did. Actually, I went way over on these. Good for you. Okay. It absolutely works as a short-term rental. If my numbers are close to accurate, it works. Your entry fee percentage is still high, which means I would like this to be a little bit higher. So do you know how to run numbers on AirDNA?
No.
Okay, DM me the address. I'll run the numbers on AirDNA, and I'll let you know if it works or not as a short-term rental. In either case, I would still lock it up because the mentality is if you're telling me that the rent in the area is 1,800 for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and we can tell someone, hey, you can own this property for $1,500 a month. It's also a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. You just got to come instead of a down payment. Actually, now that I think about it, that's exactly 20%. Well, not exactly, but most people who buy houses, they usually go in with 20% down. This is 21% down. If you can find someone to do that, you can get the deal sold to a Homestead buyer. Or it works as a short-term rental and you can try and flip it to a short-term rental buyer. So you've got some options. The only issue is that both your options are smaller buyer pools than if it worked as a long-term rental.
Okay.
So my philosophy, if there's 1% chance you can succeed, go for it. So yeah, I would say lock it up and go for it.
Okay, cool. Because yeah, he's like he's got a divorce. He's like, I want this off my hands. I don't want nothing. Just can you help me? And I was like, at first I was like, hell yeah, I could help you. But once he told me the 35K, I was like, it would be the easy one that
Oh yeah. It's the ones that are not layups where the people need the most help. Everyone else is giving up on them. And you need to set the proper expectation with them too and say, look, I typically deal in houses that cash flow with my investors. I'm going to try something with yours to see if I can get it sold. I need 2 weeks. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, I gave it my best shot. You need to set the expectation with them.
the good thing is that the auction sale is until May 6th.
Well, good. You've got time.
we got-
Plus, once it's under
we got-
contract, it'll stop the auction.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, if you're dealing with a pre-foreclosure or foreclosure, pre-foreclosure before the auction date, if you get the deal under contract, all the seller has to do is take that contract to their bank or the representative of the bank that's running the foreclosure and say, "Hey, I'm selling this thing," and then they pause the foreclosure, the process until the contract expires, and then if it expires, you get it sold. Great. If it doesn't, then the auction process starts up again.
And a VA loan, you could put it under you could buy a house subject to on a VA loan, right?
Okay, so yeah, you did mention that earlier. So here's the situation with the VA loan. Can you subject to a VA loan? Yes, you can. But you need to have a long conversation with the seller and find out what his plans are if you do get this sold. Because it's subject to and it's on a VA loan, it's drawing from his VA benefits. And veterans only get a certain amount of VA benefits that they can pull from in order to buy a house. So as far as the VA is concerned, because this mortgage is still going to stay in place in his name, whatever the balance is, which is $188,000, will not be available to him as part of his VA benefits to buy another property. So to give you an example, let's say he's got $400,000 of VA benefits to buy a property. $188,000 of that is not available to him. So if he wants to go buy a property using his VA benefits, the way that I understand it is that now he's only got about $212,000 to work with in order to purchase another property. He needs to be aware of that, or to at least check to make sure that that's how it works. So you need to have that conversation with him. If he's already living somewhere else, or I'm gonna rent. Okay, well then it doesn't matter. But you
Yeah,
still need
he's
to
already
tell him.
living in Nevada.
Oh, then yeah.
So
Okay, then we can do it. You're all good.
yeah, like I said, he's like, I moved out of that fucking place a year ago. And I was like, man, you just people just leave their houses like that?
Yeah. Yeah, for a lot of reasons. But no, it seems like a good deal, man. I would lock it up, and once you've got it locked up, we'll do another meeting and I'll show you what you need to do to disposition the deal.
Awesome,
And then
man. I really
don't
appreciate you.
no worries. Don't forget to DM me the address so I can run it as a AirDNA. Now that's not going to be tonight because I'm booked up until about 10. But I'll do it either over the weekend or remind me on Monday and I'll shoot you the numbers. But in either case, I think you should lock it up.
Okay, I'm definitely going to, for sure.
Oh, no worries. Amber, what's up?
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you. Sorry.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're okay, Jonathan. Okay, so this is to clarify on the deal from earlier. Just specifics, and I mean down to the contract. So I watched the video that you put up for sub 2, and it is definitely straightforward and very helpful. Towards the bottom, of course, and if you could visualize it, which I'm sure you can, you have all of like everything for where the buyer would sign.
Right.
So the clause or whatever, it specifies because this seller pretty much wanted to make sure that she wouldn't be liable for anything. That's already in there, right? I saw
Yeah,
it.
it's in the deed in lieu. Hold on, I'll pull it up. Yeah, we'll just switch the screen. Where the hell did I put it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So yeah, when you're looking at the contract, where is it?
Boom.
Yeah, right here. Deed in lieu. So this literally outlines exactly what the hell is supposed to happen for the transaction when it closes, and what happens if the buyer screws up. Oh, not the whole thing. I don't know why I did the top part. Just this part.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, gotcha.
Well, whatever, dude.
I thought I saw bullet points though. Or
That might be on the seller financing contract, and that's the deed. The information is the same. It's just set up different because it's a different contract.
okay.
So the layout's different, but the information matches.
Okay. I'm reading, skimming. Okay. Yep. Okay. So I don't need to, my assumption was that I would need to add that in myself, but it's already there, so I don't even need to reiterate.
No. If they have
Okay.
any questions, just say, hey, when you see the terms, when you get to the terms section, the additional terms,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see right below it our deed in lieu clause. All of our investors sign off on this for every single property they do through us. And this is just letting you know exactly what happens if they drop the ball.
Okay, nice. And then in regards to a tenant being in there already, with that lease pretty much being up until July, what does that actually, I know we're not going to kick them out, but how would that look in the grand scheme of things? If this deal closes within the next 30 days, what does that mean for that tenant?
So when does the lease expire?
July.
Okay. So in July, let's say it's July 1st, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before July 1st, the tenant would have to, they don't always do it, but they should reach out to the landlord or the property manager and let them know what their plans are. Hey, my lease is up the landlord should also do this like a few months before the lease expires as well. And I'm guaranteeing you right now that if a buyer buys this deal, they're going to do the same thing because they're the new owner. So they're going to say, hey, the lease is going to be up in 2-3 months, 4 months. What's your plan? And either the plan is going to be we're going to stay or we're going to move. And if they're going to stay, then the new owner is going to say, okay, we're going to have to sign my lease. And if the rent goes up, it goes up. And then if the if the tenant still wants to stay and they're okay with the rent going up, then they just stay. If they're not okay with the rent going up, then when the lease expires, they move. And then the tenant will clean up the property and then put the buyer will clean up the property and then put some other tenants in there.
But that would then be a long-term rental, right? Instead of short-term?
Correct. Oh, that's right. Yours was a short-term rental. So assuming we sell it to a short-term rental buyer, then they're not going to renew the lease with the tenant. They're going to wait until the lease expires, and then they're going to say, hey, we're not renewing. You need to move out. And as soon as they move out, they'll start the process for converting everything into an Airbnb.
Okay. Now, do I need to put that in the contract?
No.
So everything is straightforward. I don't need to complicate it at all.
No, I told you
Oh my
overthink things.
God.
You told
Listen,
you.
I do. I told you that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's
No, but
great.
it's no. It all joking aside, this is new. You don't know what you don't know. It's new. That's why everyone always
Yeah.
says, "Oh, this is a stupid question." No, it's not. You know, it's a stupid question. The stupid question is when I've already given you the answer 5 times and you're still asking. That's a
Right.
stupid question. But if you don't know any better, like, who the fuck is going to judge someone because you don't know any better? You don't know what you don't know until you know it.
True. True. Okay. Well, that's easy then. I don't even have to worry about that.
Mm-mm.
Well, two more questions. As
Go
far as
ahead.
the contract goes, do I need to specify business days?
No, that's already in the contract too.
Already. Okay. So let's say she signs on Monday. We got Easter coming up. We got Good Friday. What does like holidays mean?
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So I don't know when's Easter? April what?
Up
12th?
420 actually. Nope. It's
I
420.
thought Easter was on a Sunday. The 20th is on, or the 20th is on a Tuesday. Oh, I'm in May. Oh, I'm in
Yeah.
May. Okay.
Bring it
God,
back
maybe
then.
it's been a long day. Okay, so if they sign on Monday, which would be the 7th, then Easter doesn't play a factor because it's already not on a business day, so it wouldn't matter. So
Okay.
so Tuesday, assuming you get a 14 business day inspection, then and they sign on Monday, then it would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Your inspection period would end on the Friday the 25th.
Okay. April 25th
And that's why I say
inspection.
it always ends up being pretty close to 3 weeks when you get 14 business days because the weekends don't count, even though my team is still looking for buyers over the weekend. So it just gives us more time.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Uh, but I
Now, as
don't need
far
to
as
specify.
Good Friday, I don't, I know all bank holidays count as non-business days. I
Okay.
think most, or at least the most popular religious holidays also don't count as business days. So
Okay.
if it's a very popular like Easter, if Easter wasn't on a Sunday, that's a very
Hmm.
popular religious holiday. So even if it was on a Monday, people would have that day off.
Right.
The days off
Can
that
I
I don't
pretty much?
understand that people get is like Black Friday.
Right. Oh yeah. That's a waste of time. Can I just visualize like if I see it from the perspective of the market being closed, then
Mhm.
that would be a business day.
That's not a business day. If the market is closed, it is not a business day. If the
Well,
market's open,
yeah,
it's a
that's what I
business day.
meant.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you. Thank you. And then lastly, so she's a broker, the seller, um, which is I'm excited about. But anyway, just for my understanding, I want to understand the numeric breakdown of things. So what I mean is there's let's say the interest rate.
Hmm.
How would that actually be calculated for long term? So like let's say okay, we're doing 25 down, 18K
Hmm.
over 5 years. What does that how do I factor in the 7 point whatever percentage to see what she's left with at the end? And this is just from my understanding.
Are you talking about how much money she's getting at the end of the 10-year balloon?
Yes.
Oh, there's no calculation. We're just doing math at that point. So what's the seller financed amount?
Seller finance is where are we? 172, 796.
172, 796. Okay, so for anyone who wants to follow along, which should be everyone, all I'm doing right now is I'm busting out my calculator on my phone. So if you want to follow along, open up your Wow, I can't talk today. Open up your calculator and put in $172,796. Now, just keep that number in your head. What is the monthly payment that we're giving just for the seller financing part, not the mortgage?
You know what? I think I just
Wasn't
gave
it
you a
like
number.
350?
Yeah.
It was like 350, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was 300 because she's getting 140 now, and I said we're just going to go ahead and double. Hey, we'll give you double of what you've been getting.
Exactly. Thank you for remembering.
That's all right. It wasn't me. It was the other guy. So $300 a month. We're going to do what's the balloon?
5.
5 years. So first we need to figure out what's $300 a month every year. So we take $300 and put into the calculator times 12. That's $3,600 a year times
Should be
5
around
years. What happened?
18K, right?
Yep, times 5 years is $18,000 exactly. So now we're going to clear our calculator. We're going to put that number in, 172,796, right?
Yep.
Now we're going to subtract the $18,000 because that's the amount of money that she will have been paid over the term of the balloon. So she's already gotten that money. So we're deducting that from the balance that we're going to owe her. So when all is said and done, at the end of the 5 years, the buyer is going to give her a check for $154,796. Is there anyone that did not follow what I just did?
Got it.
Okay. Amber, how about you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I literally did all of that. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't tripping because I know it's an extra step that I don't have to do, but that's how I work.
No, it's good. I mean, even in some contracts, if I'm dealing with a real estate agent or a seller that's a real stickler for the details, I'll put that entire breakdown in the additional terms. Monthly payment, $300 times 12, 12 months in a year. Next line. $3,600 a year times 5-year balloon. I'll show my work. Miss Young, my math teacher, would be so proud of me.
That's exact. Shout out to Miss Young because we're the one and the same right now. And that's how I broke it down to her. But then she was like, "Well, what about because there's an interest rate." And I'm like, "God damn it, ma'am, you just lost me. I don't know." But
what interest rate? Are we giving her interest?
No, she's worried about the interest that's on the mortgage.
No, the mortgage payment is going to be completely separate. She's never going to see the mortgage payment.
So so this is the thing. Let me explain. So the mortgage was $237,204.
Right.
So I went ahead and I subtracted that $140K from the mortgage to see what she would be left with. Well, what the remaining balance on the mortgage would be, which would be $97K.
I'm so confused. How did you get to $97K?
That's because we kind of played around with the seller finance earlier. Right. So the number that you used was the original number. Anyway, so on my giving side, we're giving her $25,000 down.
Okay.
She's getting $18,000 over the course of 5 years, which adds to $43K.
Right.
Okay. So I think I took that 43. Somehow I got $370K. I don't know. At this point, I don't know. This was earlier. My brain is fried. But
that's all right. It's Friday.
Okay. But I mean, it seems like I'm on the correct track.
What we just did was the correct way. And if that's what you did on your own, then you're thinking right. The only thing that you may have gotten a little twisted up on is factoring in the mortgage. You're not factoring in the mortgage at all when you're trying to figure out how much she's going to be getting. Because if this was traditional and she sold it for cash on market, the mortgage would get paid off. So you can't count that. We're only talking about her equity.
The only reason I did that is because the 5-year balloon, once it pops, she's still going to have a mortgage balance that we haven't covered.
But we're still paying, the buyer's still paying that. Paying her off her equity and then she walks away doesn't have shit to do with the mortgage. The buyer's still going to be paying the mortgage. The buyer just won't have to pay her anymore.
Now that is what I didn't understand. So even when the contract is up, we're still paying the mortgage or the buyer.
Yeah, you're still going to be paying the mortgage. She's just going to be paid off.
Oh, bless her heart. Oh, this is the gold mine. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Sean.
What's up, Leslie?
I have a question. Let's go back to the contract. What if the agent tell you they want to use the state approved contract? How do you come with that contract here, that end loop page you just showed up?
So what I think you're asking is, how do you stop an agent when they say, I want to use my own contract?
No, not stop him. Let's say we hand them our contract, right?
Right.
And they say, no, they have to use their state approved contract.
Okay.
I know it's okay, but how do we put all these things within the contract?
Oh, So typically, when a real estate agent is insistent on using their own contract, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
We can. So what I do is I fill this contract out, and I say, hey, I just emailed you the contract I use with all my terms and clauses in case you want to add those or have my verbiage for when you write the contract. And they'll do it.
Okay.
They'll just add whatever your stuff is into their contract, and then you just look it over once they finish it and make sure that they added everything that you need. And the only thing that we really care about that they add, one, the deed in lieu, but they're definitely going to add that. They're not going to leave that out. We want to make sure the contract is assignable. We want to make sure that the EMD is due after the inspection period. And we want to make sure that the earnest money deposit isn't due for 14 business days or whatever day number you want to use. 7 should be the minimum. 5, you're kind of pushing it. But however many days, business days, not calendar days. If you notice in my deed in lieu, I specified calendar days. Because as we just went through the example with Amber's deal, business days ends up being like 3 weeks. So that's why in the earnest money for the inspection, where the hell did I put it? Where did I put the inspection period? Did I miss it? What is happening? It hasn't been that long of a day. Hold on. I can't believe I have to go line by line. Purchase price. Everybody's searching for it now. I can hear you guys just reading to yourselves. Earnest money. Did I leave it out? Deed in lieu. Maybe it's in the insurance naming. Huh. I must not have added it. Which is good for us because technically there's no inspection period, but it's going to be weird if a seller sees that. All right, well, I'm going to fix that and I'll have that updated tonight. But I guess I left the inspection period section out. So I'll get that fixed tonight. Good catch. But yeah, you just want to make sure the inspection period is business days. You want to make sure the contract's assignable, and you want to make sure the EMD isn't due until on or before the last day of the inspection period. And then obviously the deed in lieu.
Hey, by the way, Sean, I want to thank you because this morning I hold class for a couple of agents this morning.
How'd it go?
Oh yeah, I got one of them is so excited she was running out of the office.
Really?
Yeah, she didn't know nothing about those owner finance and subject to. And man, I thank you because I spent a lot of money on this thing and nobody ever teach me all that to teach me.
Well, not a problem, man. It's my pleasure.
I'm telling you, man, this morning I hold class. After that, I was jumping in my house by myself. I was so proud.
Good, man. I'm proud of you too. Well done.
Yeah, man, thanks.
Did that answer your question about the contract?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. Amber, did you have another question or is your hand still up?
Nope. So this is my last thing, clarification.
That's all good.
Crap, I forgot. Long day, like I said. Okay, so I just want to be sure because I thought that once the balloon popped, she would have to pay the remaining mortgage. She's not saying any of that at all, which even the thing is, I'm excited because she even agreed thinking that that's the way that it would go.
Really?
Yeah, I swear to God, man. Like today
So
has been amazing.
She thinks that we're going to make the monthly payment for the mortgage for her for 5 years.
And
We're
then
still
just
going to
stop.
own the property and then tell her the good news.
Yeah, listen, I'm telling you, I can't. I'm clapping my feet like a seal, bro. I cannot wait to do this.
Yeah,
but I
the
just
seller
wanted to-
financing portion is what's got the balloon on it. That's when she just gets the rest of her equity, but she can walk away after that. The buyer's still going to
walking
pay the
away
mortgage.
after 5 years. Nice,
Yeah.
but the mortgage is still in her name, right? So it
The
helps with
mortgage
credit.
it'll still be in her name, but it won't affect her DTI after 6 months to a year.
What is that? DTI.
Her debt to income ratio. So that means that, so a lot of times, so if you wanted to buy a house, right? Let's say you just bought a house and they calculate, I'm going to do a shitty job of explaining this. They calculate your DTI by how much money you make versus how much money you're spending every single month. So let's say you make $10,000 a month, but you're spending, you know, $7,000 a month on your bills, on your mortgage, on whatever. And now you want to buy a Ferrari that's, you know, $5,000 a month. Shit, even if it's $2,000 a month, your DTI is going to be too high. So a bank is probably not going to approve you for that car loan because in their mind, you're reaching your capacity of how much you can actually afford. And they don't want to give you a loan on something where they think you're not going to be able to pay it back.
Gotcha.
So for a lot of people who do subject to, they have to wait. That's why I say target properties that are already vacant. They have to wait until we service, or not we, the buyer services their mortgage for six months to a year before that mortgage payment doesn't count against how much the lenders think that they have to pay out each month. They'll run their credit and they'll say, oh, did they have a mortgage? It's $1,500 a month, but it's being serviced by this company over here. It's been serviced for a year. Okay, that $1,500 doesn't count. That's how that works.
Okay. Okay. I'm good. Thank you.
No problem. All right, who's next? I guess we can switch to the open forum Q&A unless someone has a subject to or hybrid question. So what questions do you guys have for me? I'm not going to do the going once, going twice thing. That's kind of lame now. So, all right, if you guys don't have anything else, we can go ahead and end the training right now. All right, cool. We'll end the training right now. You guys have a fantastic Friday and weekend. I'll talk to you guys later. This training will be uploaded tomorrow if anyone wants to get the recording. You guys have a great night.
Thanks, man. Thanks again, Sean.
No problem. Talk to you later.